Hello everyone. Before we start today's lesson, if you'd like to have a go at Kevin's quiz of the week at the end, find yourself a piece of paper or a book and write the numbers 1 to 15 down the left hand side of the page. You okay, Kevin? You look sad. I'm okay. You sure? It's okay if you're feeling a bit fed up. Do you want to talk about it? Well, yes, I am a bit sad today. Oh no, why is that? Well, I'm stuck here in isolation and I'm missing my friends. I know what you mean, but we do need to stay safe. I know. I'll be okay. Well, have you tried contacting them on the computer or the iPad? No? Could you show me how? Of course I can. And remember, this won't be forever. One day we'll get back to normal. You know what would cheer me up? What? Singing a soft rock song with a moody black and white video. Well, go for it then. Never thought I'd miss the way my friends wound me up when we played a game. Somehow now it doesn't feel the same. Trying to stay busy reading books, drawing pictures while I'm trapped at home. As the weeks go by, can't help feeling so alone. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I've got something I need to say. You've always got me to talk to and I've got you. Make the most of those you live with and soon these difficult times will end. We'll get through this together if we help our friends. Our friends. In isolation we've got each other, you've got me and you've got me. In isolation, singing songs together, locked away, but feeling free. And when I want to see friends and my life just depends on a chat and a smile and a wave. I've got you and technology, a friendly face on a computer screen to help me through. I'll help you through. We'll stick together till the bitter end, and this won't feel like isolation. Shall we have a guitar solo? Oh, why did you stop me there? I was just getting into that. Well, Kevin, I think you're getting a little bit self-indulgent there, to be honest. We need to move on with the show and the lesson. Oh, okay. But I do feel a bit better now. On with the show. He's a musical tone. Yeah, musical tone. Right to the yeah, musical tone. I said a musical tone. Music vocabulary. Pitch, high, middle, low. Before we start talking about the new vocabulary this week, let's go back 2 weeks when we first of all started to talk about tempo, which is what? Fast like a cheetah and slow like a tortoise. That's right, Kevin. Last week we talked about dynamics, which was loud, quiet and silent. That's it. We've also mentioned timbre a lot, which is all about the sound of type of sound or the type of instrument. That's right. This week we're going to look a little bit more, in a little bit more detail, all about pitch. What's that? The simplest way of thinking about pitch is thinking about the three bears from the very famous fairy tale Goldilocks and the Three Bears. In that story, there was Daddy Bear, who was a very big bear and had a very low-pitched voice down here.
Hello, I'm Daddy Bear.
Then there was Mommy Bear, who had a medium-pitched voice in the middle, not too high and not too low.
Hello, I'm Mommy Bear.
And finally was Baby Bear, who was small and had a high-pitched voice, like this.
Hello, I'm Baby Bear.
Now, with the human voice, we can make our voice go high, and we can make our voice go low, and lots of different steps in between, which we'll talk about in the weeks to come. Musical instruments can do the same. In the videos we're going to watch today, we're going to see how different instruments, particularly stringed instruments, can change their pitch. And we will come back to this a lot in the weeks to come. So, let's go on with the show.
On with the show.
Two ways that you can get to my website. You could either go to Google, type in the box the word musical toad, and then press return. And then on this list, click on that one. Or by going up to the address box at the top and typing www.musicaltoad.co.uk. And then, on this page, you click down at the bottom where it says click to download PDF poster. Then if you're lucky enough at home to have a printer, you can print one out and put it on your bedroom wall. Story of the week.
I love this piece. In fact, I think it was the first bit of classical music that I ever heard.
Ah, yes, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. It's got the best start to any piece of music ever. Dum, 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 dum!
That's brilliant. But it's also the string instruments. This piece uses them so well.
They just bring a real feeling to a piece of music.
But they play such different sounds as well.
You know what, Fran? I think it's about time we had a proper look at the string section.
Let's do it. Okay, so this might be a piano, but it is actually also a string instrument. If we look inside, you can see that there are strings of different lengths and thicknesses. At this end, the strings are really thick, and as we go along, the strings get thinner and thinner.
When you press a piano key, a small hammer hits one of the strings, making it vibrate. As it vibrates, it moves the air particles around it, which vibrates the ones next to them and the ones next to them. You've formed a sound wave. When that sound wave reaches your ear, you hear a note.
And the note you hear depends on the string that's been hit. You can see here the hammer is hitting really thick strings. And so it makes notes that have a low pitch. But if Greg presses keys at this end, the hammer hits thin strings and they make high-pitched notes. So that is a piano, and you play a piano with keys. But what about other string instruments? Well, a guitar works by either plucking the strings, like this, or strumming them, like this.
Lovely. Just like this sitar. The sitar, which is popular in Indian classical music, has a lot of strings. The exact number varies from instrument to instrument and musician to musician. This one has 6 on top and 9 on the bottom. And you play it a little bit like this.
That's good. Good face while you're playing as well. And then there's the cello, which can be plucked like the guitar, or it can be played by rubbing a bow against the strings, like this.
Ah, that's some beautiful playing, Fran. The thing is, we can't actually see what's going on because it's all happening too fast. So let's use our super slow-mo camera and have a look at those vibrations in action.
The cello is sort of the violin's big brother, and you can see that the string is moving from side to side. It's actually vibrating really, really quickly. And what it's doing is making the air particles close to it vibrate too, making those sound waves. Different types of string behave in different ways. The thickness of a string is really important. Thin strings vibrate quickly. This means they make a note with a high pitch. And thick strings vibrate more slowly, and they make a lower pitch note, just like we saw on the piano.
The length of a string is very important too. This is my mini harp. It's a string instrument and it goes from long strings right down to short strings, just like the piano. Long strings contain more stuff, more matter than shorter strings. And the more stuff something is made of, the longer it takes to speed up and slow down. So long strings vibrate more slowly than short strings. If I choose two strings, the same thickness but different lengths, so these two here, let's have a listen. This is the longer one, and this is the shorter one. The shorter one makes a slightly higher pitch note.
But also the tighter the string is, the higher the note it makes. So, on this violin, if I pluck this string, then listen to the sound it makes. But if I turn this peg to tighten the string, the pitch should go higher and higher, like this. So, the pitch of a note depends on three different things: the thickness of the string, its length, and how tightly it's pulled.
Thickness, length of the string, and how tight it is. Got it. But I do want to show you this. Take this stretchy chord, stretch it nice and tight, and twang it. Doesn't really make much of a musical instrument, does it? Although it does make a sound, it's just not loud enough.
Now, what we need to do is find a way of making the sound louder.
Yes, we need to amplify it. Right, are you sitting comfortably? I'll begin. To make a violin, we need something called a sound box. It's often the largest part of a string instrument, and it's made of a material that vibrates easily. The sound box of a violin is made from wood, and the key thing is the box contains air that can vibrate to and amplify the sound. A small wooden piece called a bridge sits on top of the sound box. Next comes the fingerboard, which is where a violinist's fingers press down on the strings, which go from the sound box over the bridge and up the fingerboard where they're connected to the pegs. When you run a bow over a string, the string vibrates, the bridge vibrates, the sound box vibrates, the air in the sound box vibrates, all of which makes larger and more powerful sound waves that are much easier to hear. And remember, larger vibrations make louder sounds.
Lots of things can be used as sound boxes. We've made this double bass from a metal bin, a piece of wood, and some bungee cord. The bin's been carefully cleaned and everything's been emptied out, so there's no rubbish left inside. Greg, I thought you'd thrown him out.
Sorry.
Where was I? Right, so we've got our bungee cords which are stretched across the opening of our sound box, and I've got this wooden spatula here which is acting as a bridge. And we've got three different strings. They're the same thickness and the same length, but the bottom one isn't very tight, the middle one is a little bit tighter, and the top one is even tighter still. So each one of them will make a different note, like this.
Perfect. Now, as we saw on the harp, long strings make lower notes than short strings. We use that idea to play instruments like the violin and the guitar. And we use our fingers to press down on the strings to make them longer or shorter. So let's have a look. This is long. As it gets shorter, this is called stopping the string.
Now, as we've seen, one of the best ways of finding out how string instruments work is just to make your own. And this is how to make your very own guitar.
Great.
What you need is a cardboard box, and you just cut a hole in the top of it like this. Then, thank you, you get some elastic bands, cut them and thread them through onto one side of your hole and tie a knot so they keep in place. And finally, nice work, thread them through to the other side of the hole. And then put some plastic or wood tubes there to act as your bridge and make sure they're nice and tight. Put a cardboard tube on the end to make a neck, and there you have it. A completed homemade guitar.
Oh yeah!
You could even make a guitar-shaped template so it looks even more like a guitar. Now I think we should put our homemade guitars to the test with another blast of the Fifth Symphony.
Roll over, Beethoven.
violin is the highest instrument in the string family. In orchestras, the violins are split into two sections. The first violins, who usually have the melody, and the second violins, who often support the first violins with harmony. The sound of the violin is created by making its 4 strings vibrate. The 4 strings, tuned G, D, A, and E, are stretched across the bridge and tuned with the help of pegs at the top and sometimes fine-tuners on the tailpiece. The sound then resonates throughout the wooden body with the help of a small piece of wood inside, called the sound post. Most of the time we use a bow to create sound by drawing it across the strings, like this. The bow is made from wood and horsehair. The horsehair gets coated in rosin, which is a hard resin from trees. The rosin creates more friction between the bow and the strings, which means they vibrate more, making a louder sound.
This is my viola. As you can see, it looks very much like a violin, and in many respects it is identical in its mechanics. It's just perhaps 1 inch, 1.5 inches longer, which creates a lower sound as the string length generally is longer. We share 3 strings with a violin. The violin has a top E string, which we don't have. We have the A and the D and the G. And the bottom string that we have that the violins don't is the C, which is 1 octave below middle C. The viola sits in the middle of the orchestra in terms of range between the violins, which are the high, and the cellos and the basses, which are the low.
I'd like to introduce you to my cello. The body of the cello is made of wood, normally maple or spruce. At the top here we have the scroll and then 4 pegs which hold in place the 4 metal strings, which are A, the highest, D, G and C, the thickest string at the bottom, and they reduce in thickness to the top string. Now these 4 strings are drawn down the cello and over the wooden bridge and then into the tailpiece at the end. And at the bottom we have the spike, which anchors us to the floor. So when we play with the bow, we set off a series of vibrations. The string vibrates, which then is transmitted through the bridge, which makes the plates vibrate on the cello and the air on the inside vibrate as well. There's a sound post which connects the top plate to the back plate, and all this air is vibrating, and then the sound comes out of the F holes here. So it's really the body of the cello is an amplification device. Now we have 5 fingers. We number them 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this. This is the first finger. The second finger. Third. And fourth.
The double bass is the largest and the lowest of all the string instruments. It is made of wood and has 4 strings. This bass has 4 strings, and they are E, A, D, and G. In addition to that, this up here is called an extension, which allows the bass to go down to a low C. That's a full octave below the lowest note of a cello. Some basses, instead of an extension, have a low fifth string to reach the bottom notes. And in centuries past, even three-string basses were common. The double bass in the orchestra is played arco, with the bow, and pizzicato, plucking the strings like this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Steve, the tortoise. Steve likes to eat romaine lettuce. Yeah. Today's song is called I Can See Clearly Now.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
It all began in the Mississippi Delta. Although blues music had, at first, unacknowledged roots in the American South, it went on to greatly influence today's music throughout America and the rest of the world. The arrival of 20th century blues music, directly connected to slavery and the African American experience, was a critical turning point in the music industry, impacting American culture and causing the emergence of numerous major genres in the 20th century.
Long before the first emergence of any popular blues genres, slave music expressed the sorrows of the African American experience. At the turn of the 20th century, black communities in the South continued the tradition of musical expression through performing in small shacks all around the Delta. It was in these juke joints that famous blues artists such as Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, and Sunhouse first performed. Through the sharecropping system, many black field workers were living undesirably and decided to use music, with its roots in the slave experience, as a way out. In the 1890s, an infamous pest known as the boll weevil crossed the Rio Grande and invaded plantations in the southern United States, destroying more than 3 million bales of crop a year. Communities were forced to move north, bringing their culture with them. The early forms of blues began to spread north as well, and were popularized on a small scale in urban areas such as Detroit and Chicago. B.B. King was one of the very first to incorporate the electric guitar in what is known today as Chicago blues. The movement sparked national recognition of other subgenres and styles of blues, broken off into either country or city blues. Although the movement had taken off in America, what truly gave blues music recognition was the European adaptation of American blues. European musicians fell in love with the sounds of American Delta blues. Many bands began popularizing blues music internationally by covering original Delta blues songs. What the bands had unknowingly begun was to live in music history forever. European bands toured the United States playing covers of Delta blues songs most of America had never heard before. Legendary bands such as Cream, The Animals, and Led Zeppelin were playing electric versions of old country blues music written by Leadbelly, Son House, Robert Johnson, and many others. European bands were the first to truly popularize blues music in America, and so, blues music gave birth to rock and roll.
Kevin's Quiz of the Week.
Have you got your answer sheets ready? Pause this if you haven't. Here we go. Kevin, that's me, is sad because he misses his what? A. Toys, B. Friends, or C. Sweets? Question 2. Tempo means A. Fast and slow, B. Loud, quiet and silent, or C. High and low? Question 3. Dynamics are A. Fast and slow, B. Loud, quiet and silent, or C. High and low? Question 4. Pitch means A. Fast and slow, B. Loud, quiet and silent, or C. High and low? Question 5. Sound is made on a string when it does what? A. Vibrates, B. Stretches, or C. Snaps? Think about those violins we looked at. Question 6. I Can See Clearly Now was used in the Disney film that was called A. Cinderella, B. Cool Runnings, or C. Lion King? I can see clearly now the rain has gone. Question 7. The song was first written and sung by Johnny what? Was it A. Johnny Cash, B. Johnny Bash, or C. Johnny Nash? Ooh, that's a tricky one. Question 8. The film Cool Runnings was about a bobsleigh team from which country? A. England, B. Jamaica, or C. USA? Question 9. Jimmy Cliff also sang a version of this song. What musical style was it in? A. Rock, B. Jazz, or C. Reggae? And talking about reggae, question 10. Which famous reggae star also covered the song? A. Bob Marley, B. Bob Smith, or C. Bob Slay? Question 11. A fast vibrating string, like on a violin, makes a what sound? Is it A. a low pitch sound, B. a middle pitch sound, or C. a high pitch sound? Think about that fast vibrating string. 12. A long string makes a what sound? A. low pitch sound, B. middle pitch sound, or C. high pitch sound? Question 13. A sound box on a string instrument makes the sound what? A. quieter, B. higher pitched, or C, louder? Think about that sound box like on a guitar or a violin. 14. The highest pitched member of the string section is which? A, the cello, B, the violin, or C, the double bass? Remember, it's going to be the smallest of those instruments makes the highest pitched sound. And last of all, 15. The lowest pitched member of the string section is which? A, the cello, B, the violin, or C, the double bass? And that's going to be the biggest one. Answers! Question 1. I'm sad at the start because I miss my friends. B. I feel better now though. 2. Tempo means A, fast and slow. Question 3. Dynamics are B, loud, quiet and silent. Question 4. Pitch means C, high and low. Question 5. Sound is made on a string when it A, vibrates. Bull. Question 6. I Can See Clearly Now was used in the Disney film that was called B, Cool Runnings. Question 7. The song was first written and sung by Johnny C. Nash. Johnny Nash. Question 8. Cool Runnings was about a bobsleigh team from B, Jamaica, in the Caribbean. Question 9. Jimmy Cliff also sang a version of the song in what musical style? It was C, reggae. Question 10. Which famous reggae star also covered the song? It was A, Bob Marley. Question 11. A fast vibrating string makes what sort of sound? C, a high-pitched sound. Question 12. A long string makes what sort of sound? A, low-pitched. Question 13. A sound box on a string instrument makes the sound C, louder. Also call that amplifying it. Question 14. The highest pitched member of the string section is B, the violin. It's also the smallest member. And question 15. The lowest pitched member of the string instrument section is the C, double bass, which is also the lowest and the biggest. How many did you get? Remember, you can always have another go. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, Kevin, this week we've practiced tempo, fast and slow. We practiced dynamics, loud, quiet and silent. We've talked again about timbre, the types of sound or the different instruments, and a new vocabulary that we've looked at today was all about pitch, when it was high, middle, low. That's right, Kevin. Thanks for joining us this week. We've run out of time now, so we will see you all again next time. Bye. Bye.
He's a musical toad. Yeah, musical toad. Yeah, musical toad. I said a musical toad.